the Create and Thrive podcast, episode 135, Top Tips for Launching a New Product. Do you want to grow a thriving, profitable handmade business? My name's Jess and I'm here to help you do just that. I took my own handmade business full-time in 2010, and since 2013, I've helped thousands of makers just like you create and grow successful handmade businesses. So, are you ready to thrive? Let's get learning. Hey Thrivers, Jess here. Welcome to another episode of the Create and Thrive podcast. It is lovely to have you. I want to say thank you so much for being here and listening to the show. I really appreciate each and every one of you for taking the time to listen to my little show every single week. This week, I'm going to be talking a bit about launching products, launching a product line. This is something I get asked a lot about, and it's something I'm actually putting together a whole workshop for in the Thriver Circle. But I wanted to do a podcast just to give you a couple of important tips, a couple of important strategies that you can use to actually launch anything, whether it's one product, multiple products, etc. And if you do launch something or you are launching something, tag me on Instagram. I would love to see it. I'm at Create and Thrive. So tag me in your posts, tag me in your stories. I do like to share posts from the Thriver Circle and the Create and Thrive communities on my Instagram feed. So if you'd like the chance to be featured on my feed, do make sure to tag me at Create and Thrive, and I would love to check it out. So before we get started, I want to give a big thank you, as always, to the Thriver Circle members for supporting this podcast and making it possible. The Thriver Circle member of the episode is Elise Butler, who says, "Great information. It's obvious how much work and research you put into your podcasts and workshops. I've actually unsubscribed to all my other similar groups and just do the Thriver Circle now." Thank you so much, Elise, for those lovely words. If you do want to become a member, head on over to thrivercircle.com and you can join our wonderful community of over 450 makers from all over the world and get access to workshops, exclusive members-only podcasts, and my epic program, Your Year to Thrive, which is a year-long program, the one I wish existed in my first 5 years of business, to help you start and grow a successful handmade business. I'm huddling here in my corner today because it's the middle of summer, but we're having this weird cold snap where it feels like the middle of winter. So I've got my hoodie on, looking classy, recording this episode, keeping it real, people. I do get dressed though. I don't work in my pajamas, except for the very rare occasion where I might do a few things before I do my morning routine. So that is a myth for me. It's good to get dressed in the morning and feel like you're a real human being, part of society, even if you don't see anyone else 4 days on end. So, launching. Shall we talk about it? Let's do this. So this is a question I actually get asked pretty regularly, and it's about launching a new product or a new product line. How to do it? What do you do? When do you do it? What's the best way? Do you offer one product at a time, sort of a drip feed? Do you launch a whole collection at once, like kind of fashion houses do? What's the best way to do it? And what's the best way to get people excited about it and interested in it? I'm actually going to be doing an in-depth workshop, a video workshop on this topic in the Thriver Circle in March. But this is just a little kind of shorter episode to give you a few tips to help you to kind of get this process rolling. So in the workshop, I'm going to be talking about things like ideas development and product planning and market research, all that sort of stuff. But today I just want to talk about basically building buzz and building suspense around the product launch, and a few things you can do to make that happen so that when you launch your product, it isn't going to be crickets. Now, caveat, sometimes, and this has happened to me, which is why I want to share it with you. When I was sort of still developing Ethereal, I was developing the brand, developing the product lines. And this was the first sort of couple of years easily. I wasn't really 100% clear on what Ethereal stood for and who my customers were. So what I would do is I would just make sort of what I wanted to make, but also what I thought they might like, but I wasn't really sure. And so I was releasing new product lines reasonably regularly back then. And I'll tell you what, sometimes they went really well, and sometimes nobody bought anything. And it's horrible. That feeling when you've done all this work to create this new set of products and maybe, you either get no sales or 1 or 2 sales. I just want to make you aware that it happens to everyone at some stage or another. And if it does happen to you, or if it has happened to you, don't let that stop you. Don't let that stop you from doing the next thing or from doing some more marketing. And you have to kind of work out, and I think this is one of the hardest things, is working out why people aren't buying from you. And this is especially true if you've already got a business that's doing okay or really well. And usually, if that's the case, it's because you veered from your brand too far for people. Like you've done something that's a little bit different to what they expect or what they like. And that means that your current customers might not buy it. That doesn't mean there's not a customer out there for it. And that's the thing to think about. Is this something where there is a customer out there for it? Do I need to change the price? Do I need to change the description or the photos or something about it? Don't just throw it out straight away. Kind of analyze it and tweak it and try new things. But then there does come a point, sometimes where we just put it aside and go, okay, that was an experiment. It didn't work. Let's move on to the next thing. So don't be disheartened if that happens. It's happened to me more than once when I was developing my brand and my business. And it's kind of a normal part of business development, That said, let's talk a little bit about ways to gauge people's interest and also build buzz as you go through this process of creating a new product or a new product line. I'm not going to get into detail about products one at a time versus product lines today. Both things are valid and there'll be pros and cons on that in the workshop. Today I just want to talk about the buzz. So the first step, and I think this is where you can save yourself a lot of heartache, is to share the process. Now, if you already have a following on social media, this is obviously the perfect place to do it. Using your blog is another really good place to do this. So start off by sharing your idea with your followers. So if you have sketches, if you have materials or colors or basic designs or prototypes, don't keep them hidden. Actually share them with your audience and ask what they think. Don't be afraid to actually ask them questions. People love to be engaged and involved and love to give their feedback, right? So take advantage of that by finding out if people are interested in something before you go to all of the effort to creating an entire shebang thing, right? So share the process, share the steps, give your customers on Instagram, your Instagram stories. Stories are a really great way to share things, that might not be perfectly photographed or just little snippets or videos, showing them the process of development. Show them mistakes, accidents, stuff like that, and share your thought process and be a little bit vulnerable. I was listening to Lewis Howes of School of Greatness. Lost the name there for a second. Podcast. I've listened to Lewis Howes off and on for years, but he talks a lot about vulnerability and how being more vulnerable and open can actually be a good thing for the development of your business. It can actually, because it humanizes you, right? It makes you a real person. And I think in our industry especially, this is important because that's what sets us apart from the big box stores, is that people are buying from a human being, one human being who's creating this stuff. So don't be afraid to share the process and share your thoughts and get people's interest piqued by this. So the next thing is to set a date. This can be a tricksy one because I don't know, sometimes certain people find this motivating, setting a date. Other people find it constraining. Some people will set a date and then kind of rebel against it and then procrastinate and do everything they can to not get it done because they're a bit of a rebel and their brain's like, no, how dare you impose something on me? And other people, it's the perfect thing to do because suddenly you have external accountability and other people waiting and expecting this thing. So if you're really serious about launching, doing the work, set a date because it gives everybody a goal, an endpoint, a moment where things are going to be happening. And I think that's a really important thing to this whole process of building buzz and anticipation. Don't miss it. If you have set a date, do everything you can to make it reality. Now, of course, life happens, and if something really horrific happens and stops you, then that's okay. Just tell people, and I'm sure they'll understand. But, if it's just yourself getting in your own way, that's a point where you need to push through it. So setting a date, this is a really good thing to combine with some sort of promo. So there's a couple of ways here. So you can create pre-orders, or you can create a launch special. So by selling pre-orders before the thing is actually released, you can get a bit of money coming in, which is really lovely. And you can gauge interest in it as well before you make heaps of stock, depending on how you do that. I mean, everything for me is made to order, so I make a prototype, photograph it, and then I don't make any more until it sells. But you might prefer to make stock up, like especially if you do markets or wholesale and things like that, you might prefer to have stock. But by doing pre-orders and being very clear about when people are going to get their thing, which is why setting a date is so important, especially in this instance, it can help start a bit of buzz and start a bit of money rolling in, which is great. And the other thing, of course, as I said, was the special discount. So it doesn't have to be a discount necessarily. It could be free shipping, or it could be you get a bonus. But it's the special people. The special people being your email subscribers, the people on your mailing list. These are the people who get the special. So if you've ever wondered, how do I get people to sign up to my mailing list? This is a way to make it happen. So you're sharing the process, you've set a date. Now you're creating buzz and kind of getting people to opt in by offering them something special. So it might be pre-orders are only available to people on my mailing list. Here's the link. The pre-orders, if you're doing pre-orders, you could have them at a special launch price. And that ends when the product actually launches to the public. Put a date. If you do discounts or free shipping or anything like that, always put a date on it, and don't make it too long a window. So you might like to do pre-orders for a week beforehand, or 2 weeks max, I think is kind of as far out as you really want to go in this sort of industry. But yeah, set a date, do pre-orders, and do some sort of special, and promo the heck out of it. So ideally this is over a couple of weeks, and you can talk about the special. So if people are interested in what you're creating and they want to buy it, you give them the opportunity to get on your mailing list and get something special for being on your mailing list. And that is a great way of building your email subscriber list to people. Offering them, as I said, a discount, free shipping, a free gift, like the first 10 people who order when I launch get a free gift or something. So always when you offer something like this, you've got to set boundaries and parameters. It can be you only get 48 hours, the first so many people, those sorts of things. So you promo this on your blog, on your Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, wherever you can, and drive people to sign up. Now, the one little trick here I'm going to share with you, if you use MailChimp for your email marketing, they have just launched landing pages, which is freaking awesome. If you're not sure what a landing page is, it's a single web page that the only point of it is to get people to sign up to your mailing list. So it's one page, there's no menus or links or anything. There's you can put some photos, some description about what they're getting when they sign up, and your bar, your sign up bar. So MailChimp has just launched these. They're for everybody. So if you only have a free account, you can still use them. And this is the perfect thing to use for a special launch. So you create a landing page with a special link to that landing page. And that is what you use on all your promo to push people to signing up for your mailing list. So to give them that link, it tells them exactly what they're going to get for signing up, and bam, you're done. And that's a really, really great way of doing it, because you can put that link on your Instagram profile for the 2 weeks of your launch or whatever. You can put that link on your Facebook button, the blue button on your Facebook page. You can set that up so that it goes directly to this landing page, sign up. So that's a really nice little tip for driving mailing list subscribers during this process, this launch process. And of course, if you're doing this on a regular basis or a semi-regular basis, this can be a continual thing. I've seen some amazing people, usually in the ceramics industry. You've probably seen this as well, or bath and body products, things like that, where because of the nature of their craft, it's really hard to do made to order, because there's such a timeline. When somebody orders something, you have to make it, and then you have to fire it in a kiln, and you have to have enough stuff to fire in the kiln. And so a lot of ceramicists especially do the launch model on a regular basis. So they build up a community, they create buzz, and then they launch their collection. And the really successful ones, it often sells out really fast. And then they do it over and over again. And so if you can incorporate this launch model into your business, it doesn't have to be all your products, and it doesn't have to be all the time. But if you can do it a couple of times a year, say, then you can really build that cycle of building buzz about your business, people talking about it, and then getting them on your mailing list so that they're there for the next launch. And then being in the mailing list, they get whatever the bonus is next time around. So that's a really good way of keeping them there as well. They don't just join for one thing and then leave again, but they'll get to learn that by being there, they get first dibs. And if they love your brand, that's a really powerful motivator. So the last little tip that you could do is to create an event around your launch. Now, for some people, this might be an in-person thing. Like if you're going to be selling at a really big market, for example, something like in Australia, like the Finders Keepers market or the big design market, that is a really awesome opportunity to do a launch of a new product line, because you're already going to be in a place where people can come and buy from you and talk to you and see your product, and there's going to be foot traffic and stuff like that. So planning your launches around those sorts of events, if you do them, is a really smart thing to do. Alternatively, if you have a stockist nearby you who's really wonderful, talk to them about doing some sort of launch event in their space, in their shop. Even if it's just meet the maker. It can be as simple as that. Like, I'm going to be at this shop at, 1 p.m. on this date for an hour. If you want to come along and meet me and find out more about my product, I'll give everybody who turns up a little special something, whatever that might be. But it can be as simple as that. Like, people think creating an event, oh my God, it has to be this big, massive thing, and it's going to be expensive, and what about insurance, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But if you're doing it in a space like a shop, something like that, it's safe, and the shop owner, especially if your business, you've done a really good job of building buzz around it, it's probably going to be amenable to this, because it means people are going to be coming in the door to buy from them and look around their shop and maybe buy some of the other stuff. Or you could just do like a coffee shop meetup nearby and then showing them the new stuff. There's all sorts of ways to do this that don't involve, fancy champagne and canapes and lots of money. The other option, of course, is an online event, which is, very, very common and popular these days, is doing a launch event on your Facebook page, for example, or on your Instagram, setting that date and then doing some sort of, hanging out live, doing, Facebook Live or an Instagram Live is a great way to kind of introduce that. If you're on Facebook, you can obviously set up a Facebook event for the launch which is nice as well, because that's something that people can invite other people to and let people know about. So having an event or something like that can be a way to build that buzz and get people excited about that particular launch date as well. So, are you excited about launching? I hope so. And if you've never really kind of launched anything before, I hope this gave you some sort of inspiration and some ideas around this process of not just silently putting stuff into your shop and kind of not telling anyone, but instead working out a way to build buzz and excitement, even if it's with a small group of people. You know, you can do this from the beginning. And as I always say, if you're nervous about it or kind of worried you're going to flub it or not sure how to do it, the best time to do it is when nobody's watching the first time round. So, you know, it's less stressful. Whereas if you have a huge following, you're more worried about it, right? You're more worried about making a mistake. But don't be worried about it. Just kind of plan it ahead of time and sort of set a timeline of, okay, I've got this idea, let's start sharing it right now, and set a date for when that's going to happen, and then make it happen and see what happens. Wow, that's a lot of happens. It's all happening. All right. Now, if you do want some help and support with launching something, whether it's your business, a product line, I have a couple of awesome opportunities coming up for you in the next month. My course Set Up Shop, where I help you take your online handmade business from go to woe in 30 days, is running in March, and that's an intensive course. So if you want to be part of that, if you want to set up your shop for the first time or rejig and revamp the shop that you already have, then do check that out. Head on over to createandthrive.com, look under the courses link for Set Up Shop, and I do hope you join us for that. It's made a huge difference to many, many, many makers over the years and helping them really getting their business started and off the ground. And also, if you do want to, if you've kind of done that already or you're doing that and you want to learn a bit more about this launch process, we are going to be doing a project on this in the Thriver Circle in March, along with that workshop I mentioned. So there'll be a new video workshop and it will be our monthly project in the circle. So we'll all, those of us who want to launch something, will all work together and support each other, and by the end of the month have something launched. So that'll be really exciting, and I hope you do come and join us for that. Head on over to thrivercircle.com to join up anytime. Thank you so much for being here. As always, I really appreciate your time, sharing your time with me. I hope you found this episode useful. I would always love to hear from you, so don't hesitate to leave a review or send me an email and let me know what you think about the show. I love hearing from you guys. Have a wonderful week, and I'll be back again soon with another episode of the Create and Thrive podcast. Bye for now.